Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last session of 2019 Ascending Graduation Project Seminar organized in the Certification Program. Before we begin, allow me to read the set rules for your guidance. 1. We appreciate if each presenter will limit his or her presentation up to 20 minutes in order to save others only 10 minutes for the viewers to ask questions and to comment. 2. We will ring the bells once at 15 minutes and twice at every 10 minutes. 3. Please keep the mobile device off and turn it to vibrate during the seminar. The host in this session is Professor Sherry Oldham. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
Hi everyone, welcome to the third section. And today is a big day for graduate students. Let's give them a big hand. It's a very important learning day for the third year students because next year is your turn, right? And today we have several different diversified presentations. We have already covered website, IC website. We have documentary and film. And the next section, we will mostly focus on the photography work. And we are very pleased that this year's students are so versatile. Okay, we have Andy and Camilla. They will both contribute their outstanding work and to share with you. Hope that it can inspire the third year students. Next year, you will make access, okay, to this year's. And we're also very happy to invite Mr. Fabian Hamaha. Okay, he's like you and stay in the Asia for years, right? And study journalism. And now he works for Luther, right? And as a photojournalist, and he's specialized like this. Okay, so we are very pleased that with the experts to critique on your works. So keep your ear open and learn. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Andy. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. It's means a lot to us. My name is Andy, and my project name is Wanhua 2014 and 2019. So this is a little bit of the rundown: concept, motivation, the work showcase, process, and impact. So concept. This is an art documentary that I do to capture the everyday life as Wanhua district of Taipei during the period of 2014 to 2019. And this series is based on my own perspective. So before I begin, it's gone. Okay. Okay, before I begin, I will introduce a little bit about the subject. Wanhua district, or historically known as Hongkong, is the first and the oldest district in Taipei. As you can see, here is the map, and Wanhua is just right here. As you can see, next to Tamshu River and the Songshan district. They call it the oldest because Wanhua had more than 300 years of developing history, and its original was the first settlement of the Mengatalan indigenous tribe, and then when the Han Chinese arrived in the 1700. They start to name it Banca and start to develop the town into a city. And then the town become flourishing under the Queen era in the 1900 and to become one of the most exciting trading part in the north of Taiwan. And then it reached the peak to become one of the third populated city under the Japanese ruling in the early 1900s. But unfortunately, after all of that rich history, because of the water level at the Tamshu River is drying up, so the good cannot transport into the Wanghua, and the new development plan is to try to develop Taipei to the northeast of the town. So it left behind it's just an old, rusty, and isolated town that have a bad reputation of gang, poverty, or even prostitution, and it's such a no place to go. However, I don't believe that with my curiosity in my camera, I try to find out it myself, and this is what I see. Enjoy. Okay. All right. Enjoy, guys.
To the left, the keyboard.
Okay. No sound. Oh. All right. Sorry for the delay, but enjoy. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so process. Now I will introduce a little bit about myself. Hopefully you will understand my intention to create this work. So if you know me that you know I love photography, but particularly the everyday documentary photography only. I love it because it's easy. We don't have to pretend a lot. We don't have to set up a lot. We just capture the realest moment of life. So that's why I love it. And okay, sorry. So my everyday routine being in Taipei is very easy, simple. I go to class in the morning, I sleep at noon, and then I hit the street at night. At least 2 hours every day, try to take photos, whatever I see. So in the first year, my dormitory was like right in one hot district. And as I told you, it's very isolated because the two nearest MRT station is Ximen and Gutin. It's like 1 hour walking apart. So I don't have any choice than just hang around one hot. And then in second year come, I had to leave Huanghua and go to Xilin. And I quickly realized that Taipei is very boring because it's too nice. The people are just too clean and nice. So I keep fighting myself, like coming back to Huanghua to see the chaotic street and the crazy looking people. Actually, it's in the nice way. So I started to do a little bit of the research and then quickly find out that there's just a bunch of negative feedback about Huanghua because it's poor, it's dirty. But so I get a little bit more serious. Try to decide like spend all my time here in Taipei just to take photo of Huanghua, and at the end maybe come up with something amazing like this is awkward. So that's how it happened. And next is sell and impact. So because it's my personal project, so it have a lot of impact on me. And right now I'm very happy because finally I have my whole long-term personal project. Because for a photographer like us, it's very hard to get a long-term project because we just easily attracted to beautiful thing. So it's hard to us to stay in just one subject for a long time, put all our effort, money, and time in it. And I'm very happy that one is that for me. So, so right now, maybe you would ask, well, if it's mean too much for me, then why don't I make a book out of it? Where's the book, you know? That's because for me, it's not the right time yet because I still here in Taiwan. I still want to take photo of it. And one of the things that I look into a good photo is the timeless element of it. I hope my work can live through time, can create like a nostalgic feeling for the audience. So who knows, maybe 10 years later, 20 years later, when I have a little bit of money, then I will make a book of one part, and hopefully it will serve as the piece of memory about one part district, the only real district of Taiwan. Thank you so much.
Now we would like to invite Mr. Fabian Habacher to share his opinions with us.
Hello. Okay, first of all, I want to say I really like those pictures, and for me it works because I've been to a bunch of them as well. For example, that underground mall where they sing Nakashi, for example, the Japanese karaoke. I don't really know what it is. Yeah, what it's scheduled for. So I think what you also mentioned in the introduction is that you chose the medium like film photography deliberately, and I think that's a very good choice because it gives that feeling to a place which is kind of a bit forgotten, and for people in Taipei who live here for a long time or even locals, sort of like something that they circle around a little bit like a blind spot. And I think you have a really big and good selection of images that cover a lot of different situations as well. And which is in one aspect is a really good thing, but also sort of like I think it could narrow down a little bit more, which I maybe come back to in a little bit. And the people that you captured, for example, the guy with the two cigarettes in his mouth, and some of the, I don't know if you can skip through those a little bit, or maybe not. Okay. So, for example, there was a bunch of pictures that I really liked because it captured mood in a really good way. For example, when you had some action going on in the foreground, and maybe someone else sitting way back, or two people in the entrance, someone coming out, and then you dive into the picture more, you look at it a little bit closer, and you see, wow, there's actually someone else as well. So I kind of feel you have a strong selection there that isn't too obvious, and the viewer can take that time to look at it, and discover new stuff. For example, at first glance, you wouldn't see that so much. And I think those are actually your strongest pictures. Where there's, for example, there was one where people sitting around the round table for dinner, and there was the other one in the background with I think a smartphone, and stuff like this of people talking, and that someone lying down on the floor in the back. Those are the ones that I like the most. And this kind of takes me to how I think you could narrow it down a little bit more, because one was such a broad topic, right? So if you could narrow it down and say like the forgotten aspects of it, or maybe the struggle, the financial struggle, what do people do there? Or for example, the isolation of the people there that live there, that run into each other each day, but they kind of they're caught up with their own things. Those were the pictures that I really liked as well. And I think what would be good too, if you, and I'm sure you will do it when you make a book out of it, that every picture that you actually go and interview the people a little bit, so that especially people who have never been to Taiwan or even Asia can understand what this means. Because I think for many people, this might just look oriental in a way, but it's hard to know the stories maybe behind people. And yes, so. But overall, very, very nice pictures. I think there was one picture as well that I liked, was where you could sort of see the place from a higher point like this, next to the water gates, to the flood walls. I think that worked really well as well, because you sort of see how it ties into like the modern city of Taipei, but you see the contrast. So if there's some high vantage points that you could take a bunch of more of those pictures to actually see, like, okay, there's high-rise buildings maybe way back in the back, but this looks sort of run down like this. To explain the context, what one part really is, like a contained place that is sort of run down and a bit forgotten like that. That would be great. But overall, really good stuff. I like it a lot.
Next, we will have Pamela to share her photography works with us.
So, my mom's living room used to have many, many books. But for me, there was only one. And this was my favorite. The name was The Children of This World in Dutch. And what truly amazed the 8-year-old me was how different were the kids from me and my classmates. They were just so different. Their hairstyle, the shape of their eyes, the color of their skin. I would ask questions like, why are they allowed to eat with their hands? Why some of them do not need shoes to to wear like outside. And why? I couldn't ride a camel to go to school. So many questions on top of the why questions that I used to ask my mom. Poor mom. The real important question for me was, why are these kids so different? So different from me? And the answer was always the same. They are not. Imagine, I was very confused. During the past years, I've had the opportunity to come to realize how many things are the same but different, depending on how we see it and where we come from. Think about it for a second. If you were born in the same place at the same time, but in a country far, far away, so many things would be so different for you right now. I'm not talking about your name. I'm talking about your race, your culture, the language you speak, the clothes you wear, and the things you think are good or bad. You might even have prayed to a different God this morning, right? Or practice no religion at all. Good afternoon, dear professors, classmates, friends, and special guests. My name is Camila. I was born in Guatemala, and 4 years ago, when I was 19 years old, I started this journey that today I feel very, very honored to share with you. I've had the opportunity to travel to 33 different countries, and this opportunity has taught me to see things from a different perspective and to erase all the stereotypes I had about people and countries, and now they are just dust to me. During my freshman year, I wrote an essay called "It's Not Weird, Just Different." I wrote it after a photojournalism internship I did in Nepal for a month. I was working with Ram Prasad, a photographer that taught me so many things about photography. He didn't teach me only about like aperture, ISO, speed, and all the photography things. He taught me more about how to approach people in a respectful way and make them feel comfortable being behind my camera. This was a soul-changing journey to me because so many things changed from this is so weird to now, it's just different. I learned and lived through things that I could have never learned if I had been sitting in a classroom. For example, I learned about Hinduism cremations and how the sadhus, the holy person in Hinduism, they are allowed to wear the old clothes of the people that had just been cremated. Or when I was 16 years old, I was allowed to fall in love with my best friend just because I thought he was cute, funny, smart. But probably right now, there's a 16-year-old girl in Nepal that is being forced to get married with a guy that is probably 20 or 40 years older than her just because her parents decided it was good for their economic benefit. After my internship in Nepal, I started looking for more photojournalism internships in Asia, but I couldn't find anything. So I ran to Team Skorsky, and after a long conversation in Starbucks, I left saying, I'm going to Africa. I didn't know anything about Africa. I didn't know anything. It was just so unfamiliar, and that's what I needed. A place that I had no expectations, and a place where nobody could just tell me how it would be like to live there. A couple of months later, after getting my yellow fever vaccine, I was jumping on an airplane to Kenya. I had no idea that the remote village I was going to be living at was 8 hours away from Nairobi, the capital city. Nor did I know that the house I was going to be living for a month had no electricity or running water. I had to pay to my neighbors to charge my phone. And my Kenyan host family, they treated me like family. They made me feel like home. And Dixon, my host dad, taught me that Hakuna Matata is not a word from Disney. It actually means no trouble in Swahili. And Simba means lion. And what surprised me the most, I felt what racism feels like. We visited villages where I was the only person that didn't have dark skin. So kids would stare at me. Sometimes they would cry and hide. A lot of people would ask me questions about my hair, my clothes, or my life back home. Officially, I became a book in my mom's living room. Undifferent, my photo book's name, is a made-up word that clearly delivers the concept, the message, and the idea. Undifferent for me is not just a photo book or my school's final project. It is a journal of my mind, of my heart, and how everything has changed during these 4 years. I always say keep a journal. I started keeping journals since I moved to Taiwan, and now I have probably 7 or 8 journals. And looking back into them, I realized how much I've changed and how much I've learned and when my mindset changed. I am beginning to see clearly what is truly important in life and what is not. Everyone, everything, everywhere is the same. Our lives and days are so alike, and that's why I think they're valid and important. But what we need to learn is to respect each other's differences. There is no logical order for my pictures in this book. The purpose, I didn't want it to look like a postcard collection. Sometimes you'll find contrast in between pictures, sometimes you won't. But I didn't want people to feel like a tourist in my book because I never considered myself one. I never had a plan for the next day. I was just traveling and letting life surprise me. I consider myself very, very fortunate. I got a full scholarship from the Taiwanese government. And for this 4 years, I disciplined myself to do 2 things. Have good grades and save every cent I could to travel. My friends could tell you I would never waste more than 100 NTs in a meal. I will be forever thankful to the Taiwanese government for granting me this opportunity. This country is home to me now, and my close friends they all know my adopted mantra. The best things in life aren't things. We should just stop buying things and enjoy other things besides things, right? And yeah, I came to this country with only 2 suitcases from Guatemala. And my goal is not leave Taiwan with more than 2 suitcases. Traveling teaches you not only to respect differences, but to embrace them. So it doesn't really matter what clothes you're wearing, where you are, if you're in the MRT or in a farm, we're just the same. This is a truly important message to me. I want my book not to be my school's project. I just want people to understand that even if we're so different from each other, we're in an international college. There's no wrong, there's no right, there's just different. And the last quote I want to give is, we're equals, yes, but we are not the same, and yet we are not different. Gracias. I'll just keep it playing because it's like I move on with then. Oh.
First of all, amazing that you could go to all those places. That seems like a dream situation. What I'm curious about is what is your message? What did you want to convey in this book? If you have to boil it down into maybe one. I know that, I mean, Undifferent makes it obvious that you want to say that essentially we're all very similar and stuff. And so I'm a bit curious about what your method was when photographed, for example. How did you want your pictures to look, if you know what I mean? Did you have a style that you were going for, or?
Actually, at the beginning, I did the photojournalism internship in Nepal and the one in Kenya. And after that, I just kept traveling. And then I realized what I said, like, oh, even though we're like so different at the same time, we're the same. So I realized that that's what I wanted to portray in my book. Like, my ultimate goal is just like people to see the book and understand that we're the same, and just for them to respect each other's differences. So my method at the beginning was more like portraits. I was doing photojournalism, so it was like photojournalism. But at the end, it ended up being like street photography, and then I just started to find contrast that and match.
Right. For example, I think there was some. I think it would be super good to in a book or maybe in a future version of that book to sort of, if you have that contrast between the single hut, for example, and the high rises on the other side, to kind of contrast that also with some data or something. For example, how does the average person live in what countries or stuff? So that makes it really obvious, for example, because in one country, maybe in Hong Kong, for example, low-income families would live in like a tiny shoebox apartment in a high-rise, for example. But in a different country, it might be this hut that you had kind of at the mountainside, sort of like this. So I kind of feel like sometimes for those pictures to really drive the message, or it would be good to sort of get some background in it, because some people might not be so experienced in traveling, so and not really know what this is, what the reality of people in different places is. I don't know if that fits your style, but that kind of it made me curious. I wanted to know that. So.
Yeah, I guess like I didn't want like the main message to be like, oh, there's poor people, there's rich people, and like because of their conditions of life, just compare them. I think my book goes more like crossing the street is the same thing, having a dinner with your family, or I don't know, love, like a simple smile. Like it's more not something so superficial as in they come from a wealthy family or a low income family.
No, I mean it would be to compare people that are in similar situations, but across the world sort of thing. Yeah. But I think, I mean, the way you put it together was really nice. There was also some humorous aspects to it, which I kind of liked. I think if it would have been me, for example, setting out to photograph a comparative topic like this, I would maybe take a more clinical approach. I don't know if you've ever seen those pictures of maybe shop owners in their shops, sort of like in the middle of it, and the framing would be very similar to this. Or maybe there was one report that I saw where people would lay out what they eat in 1 week.
Yeah,
something like this that would possibly, but maybe not necessarily work. But I think just to see all those different places in one book, it's really nice to browse through and to enjoy the differences and similarities still between people. I'd like to learn a little bit more, I think, in a book like this. But otherwise, really good job. Nice pictures too.
Yeah.
Can I quote something from your book?
Please.
I feel like you must have interviewed my grandmother at some point. Did you talk to my grandmother? I love this quote. It says, "What is beautiful?"
I think it's not on. It's not on.
Can you guys hear me? Love, testing one. Because it says, "What is beautiful?" In Taiwan, I'm too fat. In Kenya, I'm too skinny. In Guatemala, I'm too pale. In Japan, I'm too dark. In the West, being tan means you are wealthy. In the East means you are poor. Maybe there is no such thing as universal beauty. Or maybe, after all, true beauty is invisible. I think that's a pretty dead on. And that's why I said I feel like you must have talked to my grandmother. Because I think that's something she would have said. She always told me that all I needed were like roots and wings. And I think you've taken that to the extreme. It's great. Very nice.
Next, we will present certification of appreciation to Mr. Bobby. We would like to present awards to the outstanding presenters today. Awards are Andy. And Canada. Mr. Martin, Professor Sandy, Professor Sherry, and student presenters, let us take a photo together.
A bit more like that for that. A bit more like that. A bit more. So sorry. Thank you. She's this one. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
We thank all 5 groups for the presentations and also extend our gratitude for all the viewers and the construction funds. Let's give them a round of applause. Now to leave the closing remarks, let us all welcome the Director of the Journalism Mass Communication Program, Dr. Sophie Chan, who shares some words with us.
Firstly, I would like to congratulate all of you. You have done a very good job. I got to say, at the very beginning, we received quite a few very, very good work from your supervisors. And it was so difficult for us to choose, who should present here because we believe you, all of you should show your work to us. So Selena will upload your work on our official website so everyone can see your work. So congratulations again. And I think you play a very good role model for our students because that's their time next year. They are doing the same thing. I think they done a lot today, right?
Yeah.
So they are really happy to be here. And they suggest that we should invite all our students from our program to listen to your presentation because, generally speaking, the quality of work this year is a lot. No, I shouldn't say that because some might also watch the live stream. It's very good. Very, very good, seriously. So, congratulations. So now I would like to, because Tim would like to talk to you for a special topic, a special issue.
Just for a minute.
For a minute.
Very, very short.
Tim.
Some of you know me from when I was teaching here a while back. I now work with an animal sanctuary up in Sanju, way up in the mountain, where we have 400 plus animals that were rescued from either the streets or abandoned, or there were, what's that? Oh, you've actually got, oh, where did that come from?
Oh, we went there.
Okay, cool, all right. Well, you guys got the presentation. Sophia's been up, she's actually gone and done some film work with us. The reason I'm bringing this up is we're looking for any journalist students or interns who want to come up and do some work with us and want to do some stories, produce some stories on either our staff or our animals. We got some very, very unique animals and staff. They make for some great storytelling. And it definitely helps us get the word out there because not a lot of people know what it's like to work up on the top of the mountain in Sanja with 400 plus animals you have to take care of every day. So I'm just inviting you all to come up. We actually do have a volunteer house where people can stay for a night or two. So if anybody wanted to come up, any teams of journalists or filmmakers wanted to come up and produce short stories with us, we'd be more than welcome, or you'd be more than welcome. And I'd be happy to help in any way I can with my film and editing experience. I could probably even offer some pointers along the way. That's all I wanted to say. So if you want to come up, just contact me or find me on Facebook. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you. That concludes our activity for today. And as journalists, you invite all the reviewers and the student presenters come to the stage and take a photo together again.
Yeah.
Do you want me to walk? You can like get on the
I want to have my left next to you, please. Everyone, photo time. Three. Three, two, one. One more, don't move anybody. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. Yeah.
One, two, three, cheese. People in the back, please stand up. I can't really see your head. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, thank you.
We have club, we have dogs, we have